everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus coming at you with a viewer-submitted burn list. This one is by Rodrigo Palomino, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Asked me to take a look at his burn list, so that's what we're doing, at least for a couple of matches. This is a rather unique take on Incinerator Burn. Be interesting to see how it plays out. There's a lot of interesting cards that we'll see how they jive together. This is an Incinerator build, splashing both colors. In the main deck, you have 4 Lightning Helix, 3 Atarka's Command, in addition to the 4 Seal of Fire and 4 Riftbolt that are kind of mandatory to be able to play Incinerator on a normal clip. 19 lands, which I tend to prefer 20, but 19 is certainly defensible. Beyond that, you have your usual Goblin Guide, Monastery Swift Spear, and then Lava Spike Lightning Bolt, 4 copies of Eidolon, 4 Riftbolt, 3 Skewer. As far as land base, you're running 5 Canopy lands and 2 of each Shock land, 2 Sacred Foundry, and 2 Stomping Ground. And then 2 basic mountains to be able to go and fetch. The thought process is definitely this mana base is going to be much more painful, but with the 4 Lightning Helix, I think we can kind of afford it a little bit. Be interesting to see how that plays out over the couple of matches. Sideboard is where things get even spicier. I don't know too many 3-color decks they're trying to jam a Blood Moon, but definitely got a 1 of Blood Moon here. 1 of Damping Sphere, which is nice. They both kind of cover Tron and E-Tron in ways, making their mana bases a little bit worse. Damping Sphere, pretty nice, coming down a turn earlier against Tron and such. Also has some utility against, some fringe decks like Storm and Ad Nauseam. 2 copies of Tormod's Crypt as his preferred Graveyard Hate, as well as 2 copies of Rest in Peace. This is a kind of Graveyard Hate I liked when I was facing primarily Dredge. This gives you some fast Graveyard Hate to nuke them on turn 1 or on their turn 2 on the draw if you're staring them down, while also giving you the more permanent Rest in Peace hate against them. 2 copies of Deflecting Palm and 4 copies of Path to Exile is kind of your anti-creature package. The 4th Atarka's Command for any type of life gain shenanigans, and then 2 copies of D-Rev, giving you some outs to things like Leyline and Chalice, both of which could obviously be problematic in certain matchups. So, interesting take, interesting cards, not that you don't always see, and then going all in on both the green and the white, which is something that most people kind of shy away from, probably since Untitled Burn fell out of favor, so be interesting to see how this mana base plays out over the course of the couple of matches that we're going to be playing tonight. And then beyond that, let's see how it goes. Going to be doing some 2-man queues as the one thing with when it's a non-donation deck list, I don't generally tend to play leagues because I don't tend to play all 5 matches anyway. So that is the one caveat when you're playing or ask me to take a look at a deck list. I generally don't play it in a league unless it's been a donation deck list of some kind. Taking a look at this hand, we have access to all the colors, a pretty reasonable start. We are on the draw, which kind of sucks, but overall this hand is very much a keep. I guess I should look, is there actually Searing Blazes in this deck? There are no Searing Blazes, so we can feel free to crack our fetches as we need to and not feel terribly about it. So Blue to Delta pass. Okay. Alright, so it's possible I'm not supposed to lead on the creature here in case they have a Fatal Push or something, but that's getting too cute with our mana sometimes. Are we up against an Uro pile? Nope. Tapped Watery Grave. Okay. Well, it doesn't tell me a whole lot in the current modern situation. Alright, that snow-covered land, however, kind of... Whoa! Hello there. So, some type of Urza deck. I gotta fetch the Sacred Foundry here. So, I'd love to be able to hold up a Tarkus command, but if they have Sword, we're kind of out of luck anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and play my spells and deal them damage to the face here. Like I said, if they have Sword plus the mana, we're in a world of trouble anyway. Because we obviously don't have any type of destructive Revelry or Smash the Smithereens in the main. It's a little awkward, but I do think we just go ahead and attack with Swiftspear here. Do I just jam Eidolon? I feel like I do here. They couldn't have Archmage's Charm, but there is like a myriad of other counter spells they could have here. That also is one of them. Curious why they didn't tap their other mana here. Alright, just being fancy, because they can. Okay. Awkward. This is really awkward. Like, we want to hold up the mana, but at the same time, still the 1 damage and like it. Problem is they could have Metallic Rebuke and crack the spell bomb here. I'm kind of surprised at that, honestly. I think making the Thopter would mean more here, wouldn't it? Still could have Metallic Rebuke up. Witching Well. They're definitely an Urza deck of some kind, or, yeah, most likely an Urza deck. I think we do have to fire off a spell on end step, as much as it sucks letting them gain some life. But we can't just sit here. As much as we're trapped on mana, we can't really just sit here and not do things. Pretty good opportunity to gain some life there, friend. Okay. Do you have another Metallic Rebuke? Unfortunately, you do. Same difference at the end of the day. I guess it was a slight mistake with Skewer the Critics. It's potential that we should have just let the thing happen. Feels like we're so close yet so far away against this deck. Takes what, 3 artifacts to activate this? Not to activate, but 3 for it to be gaining them life during the upkeep. Pass turn here, hold up a Tarkus command. Fortunately, they can't gain life with Inventor's Fair. Yeah, that's fine. So are they just like Grixis Wurza? So they can go to 9. This is only non-token artifacts. Alright, we can kill them in response to anything they do, so just going to hang back and let them do their thing. And we can even poke them with a bolt and not particularly care. Let's make sure we don't tap our green source. They have Cryptic Command? That'd be interesting. Dark Mage's Charm? Nope, Cryptic. Huh? Paying costs. Oh, Witchbane Orb. We're for 2. Oh, cute. So you can get the sword, but you can't gain life now, so you're just dead. And you'll have a life to redirect. Just started, Sweet Liberties. How are you doing tonight? I stopped in on Gigi's stream a little bit before things got rolling here. Probably interested in the Rips. The Blood Moon might be interesting, and the D-Revs. This is where, like, boarding the Blood Moon's gonna feel awkward. And even the Damping Sphere is a consideration. Probably want the other Tarkus command. Lightning Helix is kind of whatever in the style of matchup. And I don't know that Incinerator is, like, fantastic. Like, I'll keep 2 in. I don't think it's the best card in the matchup. And then trim my skewers because it can get a little bit awkward in these kind of situations. Well, Rodrigo certainly has proverbial money's worth in the first matchup here. Seems interesting. It's pretty good overall as long as we don't draw Blood Moon. Yeah. Goblin Guide into Rest in Peace against what their deck seems to be doing is pretty decent. D-Rev's a pretty relevant spell for the most part. Maybe a turn 1 Witching Well. Yep. That's a very painful Witching Well. It's 2 cards on bottom. So we could lead on Basic Mountain if we wanted to. Nope, they got a Painless Source of Mana, which is kind of unfortunate. Hopefully they just jam Adopter Founder here. Yep. Nope, this looks like a Collective Brutality. Nope, Pentad Prism. Okay, Blood Chief's Ascension, sure. Blood Chief's Thirst. Oof. That's a spicy meatball. Come on, tap out for something stupid. Unfortunately, they have the basic island. Alright. I think I just, play the Rest in Peace, because I think this is a card they're going to end up caring about. So if they have a counterspell, they kind of have to use it. That on the bottom. Like, I really want the threat, but I really want another land to force them to do stuff. Very weird situation this Blood Moon puts us in. Yep, Urza is a thing. See what our opponent does here. Takes care of 2 birds with 1 stone. Problem is, this turns all of their artifacts into blue mana. So we can only cut them off of other colors of mana. Of course they have a Foundry. Like I said, maybe I'm getting too cheeky with these D-Revs trying to set up the Blood Moon here. Two, three, four. Dreadbore? Yep. Sure. I think Urza is actually an underplayed card in Modern right now. Like, just the stupid stuff it does, even in more fair decks than it originally was playing in. This is a race we're losing, unfortunately. Spin the wheel. We're still losing the race as is and don't really particularly have any way to recover, so... Opponent's chunking us for 3 a turn and has a 4th one in reserve. Oh, well, that's pretty much going to seal it. Spellskate's pretty good one to have. Blood Moon was cute for what it was that game. Do I want to bring in Paths against just Urza? Guess it also hits Spellskate potentially, so maybe I'm interested in a couple of them. I think Incinerator gets less and less appealing the longer we play this matchup. So how's everyone doing this evening? This hand's borderline, right? So we have 10 points of burn in hand against a deck that may or may not do itself some damage. We don't have any of our anti-life gain stuff, and we don't have any early creatures. So I think this hand's actually a mulligan. Now this hand's got the opposite problem. We have 5 lands and a bolt and a Goblin Guide. Alright, I guess we should have kept our 7. That. Guess I got too cute. Yeah. See, I work all weekend, so I don't generally face that problem on Mondays. I'm usually already working all weekend, so. Alright. That was one of those close hands that just felt like we could do better on 6 and then, just mulligan to oblivion, unfortunately. So. Goblin Engineer. That's good, Ando. How have you been? Ichor Wellspring. Problem is here we have to bolt or path this stupid engineer, and we're just like getting no closer to actually doing anything this game. And then we immediately draw another path, sure. This is one of the dangers of like overboarding with burn, right? Is you're just kind of like, you can get into these situations where you draw too many reactive cards. And ironically, we didn't even board in that many. We boarded in like 2 paths and some D-Revs this game. Alright, there's a Thopter Foundry. Feels like if they got Ichor Wellspring that they already have Sword in their hand. Well, this is a mold of 4 bad, actually. Trigger on the stack. I think we path this guy. Yeah, we didn't mold a 5. We molded a 4. Yeah, you don't have enough mana to do that trick, friend. There's a reason why I pathed when I did. I think they have Metallic Rebuke in hand. This is one of the issues I kind of have with this build is, although the spells are powerful, the damage you're taking from your mana base is kind of high. And I had to grab the Sacred Foundry because I'm probably going to want to crack the Sunbake Canyon in a low resource game. So, and our opponent's sitting there with a 3/3 that's probably going to grow bigger. Shocker. Our 3/3 is now a 4/4. Am I supposed to path this golem? I think the answer is yes, unfortunately. They play another Urza second main phase, I'm going to feel bad. But I think this is going to get countered either way, so... Yep, they just let it go. Alright. Do you have another Urza? Survey says... Surprisingly, no. Trigger. You have another Witching Well on top. Okay. Why? I'm guessing that was an oops. I mean, I guess you're so far ahead you can afford to draw cards here. I don't know. I'm thoroughly confused by what our opponent just did. Yep. Guess I shouldn't have wasted the path on the construct. But at the same time, I'm not sure we're winning either way anyway. Like, I could have Tarka's Command to trade for the construct. Maybe I'm supposed to do that to choke them on mana. Well, relatively choke them on mana. Yep. So this is game, so I'm not even going to bother responding to it. Like, we can prevent the first life gain here with them only having access to the Foundry, but then there's no... Yeah. This is just game, unfortunately. Like, I could respond to all this with the Atarka's Command, but then they just do it during our upkeep anyway. So... And I found even if you kill the creature that the sword's supposed to attach to, it still comes into play anyway. So, you know, it's kind of is what it is, so to speak. That was just a mull. Maybe I got too greedy with the mulligan there. You know, it was 3 lands, 4 spells, 2 of which were Seal of Fire. So you had the 10 points of burn. I was watching GG's video last night about, you know, 10 points of burn in hand, etc. But I just feel like that's a matchup where trying to count to 10 with burn spell or 20 with burn spells alone isn't going to get you there, especially against the Thopter Sword combo. So, you know, maybe I was a little too cheeky there, but I really just didn't want to... Sorry, I'm checking out game history here because I don't want to play against the same opponent if I can manage. They were on... Their name was Chickers. Alright. I just don't prefer to avoid playing the same opponent twice if at all possible. So it might be a sec. Does anybody have any questions in chat related to Burn? I still have some videos to make regarding people's comments from that a couple weeks ago. But tonight, obviously, we're playing a non-donation deck list. It was a deck list submitted by Rodrigo Palomino. He wanted me to take a look at. So... I think I might just go into tournament practice room, see what we can run into. Just because I really don't want to run into any type of repeat opponents. I generally try to do that when I'm doing 2-man queues, just because of I don't like repetitiveness when I'm not doing leagues. It really serves no purpose whatsoever. Wish our opponent good luck. This hand's a little bit awkward in terms of ooh, mirror match? Oh, I'm actually intrigued. So, in some ways, I'm kind of hoping this is Death and Taxes. I know that sounds crazy, but when I have no money on the line, I am very happy to see difficult matchups. Virtual currency or otherwise. Oh, looks like we're up against DNT. Nice. Sand isn't good against DNT, but it's a matchup that I don't mind seeing. Especially when I'm playing somebody else's deck. Because it's a pretty good litmus test for Burn. Oh yeah, definitely Death and Taxes. For once in my life, I'm happy to see the deck. Question mark? What am I playing here, though, is the question. So Eidolon isn't great in the face of Thalia and whatever can come down off a Vial, but it does restrict their ability to play spells, and if they path us, I think I'm actually kind of happy with that. So I'm just going to Eidolon and go. Although Eidolon's not particularly good in this matchup, especially when they have a Vial down. My only other choices were either like Lava Spiking the face or playing Rift Bolt, and playing Rift Bolt does make some amount of sense to deal with Thalia, but if they have a Giver of Runes here, it would have gotten blown up, and they turn out to have a Giver of Runes. So worst case scenario would be third land, lean an Arbiter, activate Field of Ruin. Our opponent has no fear, huh? Hoping to force them here to activate Giver, and then we ideally draw an untapped land and get to kill their Thalia or their Giver. Yep. It's possible I was just supposed to run no blocks there. Just going to suspend the Rift Bolt here. There's no other good play really to be had. Once again, if they have Arbiter, they have Arbiter. It's okay, they don't. They at least didn't have it there. And now we run into the risk of like Flicker Wisps and stuff blowing us out. So maybe I was just supposed to activate or to Rift Bolt, bite the bullet, and kill the Thalia or the Giver while we could. I can't play anything more this turn. What is their hand? No one of the cards is Path. And why would you cast Archon to take 2 damage unless you had some other thing in hand? Like, I guess Skyclave Apparition, but I don't know. That just seems foolish. So we know they have Path here. Trigger. Okay, so they have 2 different types, 2 different arts of Path, no less. Are you going to Path to exile me here at the cost of 1 life? Or Skyclave Apparition? Yep. Card that makes sense for them to have here. This is why Death and Taxes is not a great matchup for Burn. So even if I chump block, we take 4. The problem is if I chump here, we're not getting anywhere, and if I don't block, we're just dead next turn. So and even if I had a spell to play, they have Path to Exile backup, so it's not like I guess any of that was particularly relevant. Yep. That's the ball game. When Death and Taxes hit you with their best draws. Actually, that wasn't even remotely close to their best draw. Okie dokie, so Path to Exile against the Lean and Arbor deck seems kind of dumb, but it's a card you consider. Destructive Revelry seems like a possible reasonable card. We didn't see Stoneforge Mystic out of them, so it's not as much of a slam dunk as it would normally be. And then Tarka's Command's a little risky. Like, our mana gets really dangerous in a matchup like this, where we're getting Ghost Quartered and Field of Ruin and Path to Exiled. She won Atarka's Command. Like, it's a reasonable card in a lot of spots, especially if they have equipment in their deck, or if they have some type of like Core Firewalkers or Burrington Forge Tenders. It's actually not that good against Forge Tender because of the way Atarka's Command is structured as opposed to Skullcrack. Kind of crazy, but I'm going to cut a Lava Spike here. guess I'd like to play first. Keep this hand. It's not the best, but it's pretty reasonable overall. Make sure we fetch a Stomping Ground here. I guess our best draw is like this into D-Rev on their turn 1 Ether Vial. It's definitely an Ether Vial. Nope, Giver of Runes. Okay. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. It's a bold strategy. Really don't want to path them. Really would love to get down Goblin Guide here. I'm going to take a gamble here. I'm going to get Goblin Guide down. And then hold up Path to Exile. I'm probably not going to cast it. That way we can Thalia it, or path something in response to a Thalia. Yeah, we've backed ourselves into this particular corner. Thalia is such a randomly good card against us. Not just because of the taxing thing, but also because of the first strike on a 2/1. Let's just really accelerate them, why not? I did miss one potential point of damage by not pathing the Giver during their turn. So that is something to note. So while we are ahead on board, it won't take much for them to give us some fits here. Skyclave Apparition, sure. They can potentially Ghost Quarter us off of one of our colors. Which, if I were them, I might consider doing. Alright, there's a Stoneforge Mystic. That's rough. They have path, they have path. There's really not a whole lot we can do about it. Does put pressure on their Ghost Quarter if they're not going to crack it. They might just be cracking the land. Okay, so they no cracked, no activated. What do you want that much mana for? Oh, that's why they want that much mana for it. Gotcha. Cat Jesus at its finest. Pretty much. Double strip mine and they might still lose the game, potentially. Forgot to pay for your own arbiter. Whoopsie! Why did they concede the game? Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, Lord. Pretty much. And the fact we're in the tournament practice room means it's not really costing them much, but still funny. Still funny, still funny, still funny. The only other card I would consider bringing in is Deflecting Palm, but once again, our mana is stretched so thin, it's really kind of hard to bring that one in. I mean, we certainly keep this hand, but it's not the best without a creature because we're going to be spending some amount of mana to control our opponent's board. Now they have the Ether Vial this game. Well, hello, Goblin God. We had 8 top decks that were really good there, and that was one of them. Oh, Orioc Champion. Psych! Oh, we really need a D-Rev. Oh, they kept a 1-land Ghost Quarter hand. And we can't punish them. That is so unfortunate. They have Leon and Arbiter to boot. Oh, great. What a game to be alive. Alright, so I think we cast this one. Play the Seal of Fire to give us some amount of outs to things. Especially like them just trying to snipe us with a Leon and Arbiter. They won't be able to help themselves, will they? Alright, they just let it resolve, sure. we pass the turn. So are they dead here? Activate. Put in Auriok Champion. Presuming they don't draw a land to cast, they go to 11. We have 11 points of burn. Do they take this up? They do not. All right. Just gonna helix them on end step. If they don't force our hand with a Ghost Quarter activation, they're just dead. Alright, in response to the Ether Vial, they die. My favorite words as a burn player. In response. GG's Mr. Death in Texas. Nice. Now, I'm going to say for the two matches we played that hopefully Rodrigo got something out of this at least. I still have some of the same concerns that I always have with the 3-color mana base. And that is, the spells are excellent. Like, don't get me wrong. Having access to Helix and Atarka's Command and Boros Charm and all of the spells is really awesome. And I think if you're going to build the mana base the way to utilize both, you do kind of have to have 2 of each Shockland in the main deck. I really don't know about the 5th Canopy land in this type of mana base. I honestly think I would go with the cut the Fiery Islet and run a 3rd Mountain, just because there are so many decks out there right now that are running Ghost Quarters and Paths and that kind of nonsense, and Cleansing Wildfires and such. I'm more a fan of more conservative mana bases, or honestly, if you're gonna go this route, I honestly think you need to get the payoff for it and run Wild Nacatl. Maybe that's too many creatures in an Incinerator deck, but I honestly really do feel if you're gonna go this far out of your way to run the 3-color, you may as well get the maximum payoff. And then the basic concept is fine. 19-20 lands, that's all personal preference. The spells are all reasonable. The one of Blood Moon, a little bit tricky when you're trying to run a 3-color mana base, but it almost got our Urza opponent in the first match we played. Damping Sphere, on the surface, I think Damping Sphere isn't that great, but I can get behind it. The only other card I could see running in a slot like that, if you want answers to big mana without compromising your own game plan, would be something like Cleansing Wildfire itself. It triggers your your Monastery Swift Spears. It cantrips, so you're really not losing much. But if you're going to run like permanent base Tate, I can see a 1-1 split on Damping Sphere and Blood Moon. And the rest of it, I mean, the Tormod's Crypt Rest in Peace split, like that's the old split I used to run against Dredge when Dredge was more popular, especially before Faithless Looting was banned. So like all of that is just like reasonable cards. So I mean, I really don't have any like constructive criticism or anything to offer other than if you're going to run the 3 colors, you might want to be a little bit more conservative with the mana with the 5th Canopy land. And if you wanted to cut some number of spells, like some number of Wild Nacatl might be perfectly reasonable. Just like if you're gonna go out of your way to run the 3-color mana base anyway, you may as well get like the maximum payoff for doing that. And the Helix, I'm perfectly fine running Helix over Boros Charm if you're going to be playing the Painful mana base. Makes sense. 3 Incinerators, probably the right number. 4 Seal, 4 Rift Bolt, right number. Skewer the Critics. Cuts kind of come under fire a little bit lately. And, it makes us play even more at sorcery speed. 3 is probably a good number. So, really hope that helps you out, Rodrigo. We played 2 very different style matchups. So, even if we're not playing a league, I think this was a pretty good like run through for the deck. Pretty much, I think, other than Tormod's Crypt and Damping Sphere, I think we could have brought in every single card, even through 2 matches. So, pretty good sign for a sideboard. So, alright, gonna wrap up Rodrigo's video there. Tonight,